Hello everyone and welcome to
Watch Wars.
Well, guys, decided to pick this series back up. We made our first one a while back. We just made our second one, so you guys all took well to it. Adrian's been bugging the crap out of me to continue doing these because he finds it that his daily arguments with me, which we have regardless on camera, come out much, much better. And then a lot of you guys tend to take his side. The last episode,
right. I think I'm 2-0 so far. I like that.
No. The first one I won.
Pretty sure I won the first one.
No, the first one I won. Second one you took by storm, I got to tell you. Really, guys?
5270 platinum salmon dot was what won it last time. So,
a side note, I've been doing something very, very special with my life for the last almost 18 years. That's being married. And guess who decided to take the plunge? Baby. I mean, nothing to do with the voting. Please, just because you just got married doesn't mean you should be voting for him. But wanted to give you my congratulations. Welcome to the club.
Thank you very much, Roman.
And guys, that's it. He did it. He took the plunge. It's over. It's curtains. Let's get to Watch Wars. We thought about what to bring today, and I came up with an icon. I came out with the very coveted Nautilus 5711. The 5711, and what did you bring to counter that?
I brought the 5712 to counter that.
So another Nautilus. Very
another
creative.
blue.
Very creative. Yes. What else you got?
We also brought 2 rose gold offshores on straps. One's a 42 millimeter.
And I brought the newer one with the ceramic bezel. And last but not least, just to change things up a little bit, I told Adrian, I was like, you know what are you wearing today? And he said, well, I'm wearing the new ceramic Daytona, and I happen to be wearing an older yellow gold Daytona. And I said, you know what, when all's said and done, we'll argue whose choice for their wrist is better. So let's get going.
A little shot of the stainless steel ceramic. There you go. Look at that beauty.
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna let the young kid go first.
All right, so we're starting off with the Rolex. Starting off with the King. All right, so I decided to take the stainless steel ceramic Daytona just simply because the steel ceramic Daytona in general is an iconic watch, and as soon as they threw the ceramic bezel on there, it took the whole Daytona line to a whole other level, from the steels to the golds. So that's why I took the steel.
Well, let me tell you something. Rolex could have put a plastic bezel on top of a Daytona. Rolex could have made that Daytona literally out of crap and it would still sell like a hotcake. Daytona is the most iconic, probably the most collectible, the most popular sports watch out there. It has been for years. One of the only watches in the world that has consistently traded over list for many, many, many years. But your argument on the ceramic bezel, I'm going to counter that with the fact that they jumped on the bandwagon of guys like Audemars Piguet. So nothing really original about that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, listen, as they say, it's not about who done it first, it's who done it best. So as soon as Rolex put that ceramic bezel on it, they took everything to a whole new level. And
well, I'm gonna come back to you, and I'm gonna argue one simple tiny point. So the Daytona I'm wearing, this is actually a post-Zenith Daytona. This is one of the first Daytonas that came out post-Zenith.
This is a Y serial we have.
2003?
So it's about 2002, I believe.
2002, 2003. So a Y serial Daytona. Again, this is a Daytona on which the design has been around for many, many years, right? It's very familiar looking, no ceramic bezel on here. And what I'm going to argue is the fact that a chunk of gold, specifically yellow gold on your wrist, is probably a much better look than that of stainless steel, whether you dress it up with a ceramic bezel, a bezel made out of carats, or whatever the hell it might be.
Roman seems to always take the side of metal, and I've tried to explain it to him many, many times. In the watch business today, or in the watch market today, a lot of the times that does not longer matter anymore. People want simplicity, they want stainless steel, they want wearability, they want basically what's hot. So let me just take this ceramic off to get a little shot of it.
Well, I think might as well do a side-by-side.
Yeah, do a little side-by-side here.
Let me see that. Okay, so purely from a looks perspective, honestly, whether it's gold or not gold, I still think this Daytona is just a better looking Daytona. I mean, look, steel versus gold is an argument that we can argue till the cows come home, right? But overall, I will still take a piece of gold over this stainless steel piece, and this is why. What's the market on the ceramic today?
So the ceramic Daytona trades anywhere today from 21 to 20.
Well, let's go pre-owned. Like that's a pre-owned.
Okay,
and this is a pre-owned.
So this pre-owned Daytona goes anywhere around 22 to 23,000, pending condition, of course. And it's actually gone up. Actually, we saw a coronavirus effect.
Spike, right? Everybody said stuff was going to go down.
Effect and spike. Everybody was worried about their.
So let's call that 22.5. Fair enough. Let's call that 22.5 in the middle. This watch, 25 to 26.
Correct.
Okay, so you're talking about roughly a $3,500 difference, maybe a $3,000 difference. So I'm going to ask you guys to vote below and say, what would you rather have? It's seemingly more or less the same price, right? Let's say if this was brand spanking new today, it'd be what, 23, 24?
Exactly.
So it'd be very, very close to the price of this pre-owned Daytona. You guys tell me. Personally, I think if you want to look at value, and I've always said value is never there in terms of precious metals when it comes to watches. If you take any gold or platinum watch out there and see what the weight in gold is, it's never going to justify the price of the watch.
Right.
But nevertheless, I feel like in terms of value, the yellow gold Daytona definitely takes the cake.
I mean, you can argue that in terms of value. I'm thinking in terms of residual value, because these things seem to be climbing almost by the day. So who knows what's going to happen when they actually discontinue the stainless steel. I think when they discontinue the gold one, or the current gold one, I don't really think the price is going to budge so much.
Well, this particular version has been discontinued.
But there's a newer 116508. Which looks exactly the same.
What are they trading at?
So those are trading a few $1,000s more than this Y serial. But although I will say that yellow gold is coming back, I would actually take the yellow gold Daytona over any rose gold Daytona, when that actually used to be flip-flopped.
I would say the same thing for President. I would say the same thing for pretty much any precious metal today. Yellow gold is yellow gold.
Yellow gold is coming back, but I still, in this war, I'm going to take the stainless steel Daytona simply for, I guess, resale value. And I'm sorry I'm buying into the hype a little bit, but I do think it's a beautiful watch overall. And when you're walking on the street with it, if I'm walking on the street with it, people notice the ceramic Daytona right away. And
excuse me. This will get noticed 10 times faster than that.
I actually disagree, because this will get noticed. Oh, you got that steel ceramic, because it's highly coveted right now as something that's like impossible to get. And it's trading over retail, whereas this is a lot under retail, essentially. Retail, I believe, it's near $35,000. So I think this is more of an eye catcher.
I guess I should put the green dial in this one.
Oh yeah, well that's why we didn't do that war.
What do you got?
So I decided to take the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore 42mm in rose gold. This is the previous generation. Actually, the previous generation dial was gray. This is the gold. Now they have the new black dial. But this is my favorite one of them all. And the reason I took the 42 over the 44 was due to wearability. The 44, for me personally, is way too big, and the ceramic pushers, although they're updated from the pushers of the past, are still jagged and they dig into my skin, and the 44mm watch is just way too big for my wrist.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you even lift, bro?
No. I lift. Look at these, baby. Look at these weights I got right here.
Adrian actually does lift consistently, and
sometimes
he can bench press a house. But long story short, here's my argument to that particular watch. Now, to each his own in terms of taste. I've always said that when they came out with the gold version, especially when you talk about the brick, the one that comes on the bracelet,
which I'll get to that point after.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did I just give you an idea?
Yeah, you did.
Especially when you're talking about the brick. Let's talk about this one specifically. Here's my issue with this guy. I feel that this blends in. It's just something that when you match a color of the dial to the color of the gold of the actual watch, to me, everything starts to blend in. The numbers don't pop as well. The hour markers don't pop as well. The hands tend to get lost on this particular watch. And to your argument, the first argument is size. Well, let me show you something. If we're talking about size, me and you have the same size wrist.
Correct.
Right? We probably have a little bit under average size wrist, somewhat on the small side. So when I take this watch and I pop it on my wrist, no matter what, this thing is going to be on me and you together. You agree? Let's see that. All right, it's still a little too big. Anybody that's out there buying offshores, they have to settle with the idea that the watch is going to be big on you unless you have one of those humongous wrists.
Right.
So here's a 44 millimeter on my wrist.
Pretty much wears like a 46.
And guess what? I'm not feeling that this thing is that much bigger to where I'm going to sacrifice the overall look. So your size argument honestly doesn't fly, because the difference between the two watches in size on a wrist is not felt. Even if you look on camera, let me line these guys up. If you look on camera, even by looking at them on camera, you can barely see the 2 millimeter difference. So size argument, no go on my book. What else you got?
Well, actually, if you do wear the watches, I mean, it is legitimately more uncomfortable for me, the 44. I simply cannot wear it. I can wear, however, the titanium version because it's lighter. The rose gold, I've worn it before, and I just can't wait to get it off my wrist.
Besides size, what else you got?
So what I do like about AP 42 millimeter offshores, especially in rose gold, is if you do decide to buy the one on the bracelet, you can always interchange it with a strap. So I call that a transformer. You know what I mean? So if you want to pop the bracelet back in,
which transformer?
Huh?
Which transformer is your favorite?
So whichever one makes the most money.
Which is your favorite?
Whichever one's more valuable.
Bumblebee. I gotta go with Bumblebee on that
Bumblebee. I'll go Optimus Prime. I think I remember one of them, right? That's one of the guys.
You obviously did not watch this movie.
Optimus Prime. That's definitely a transformer.
Yeah.
Ian.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Yeah. So. The diversity of this watch, the fact that you can interchange the straps on the 44 just as well, but the fact that you can have a bracelet on this, and if you're tired of the bracelet, throw on a strap to make it more comfortable or not make it as flashy, for lack of a better term.
Oh, because that's not flashy.
And to your point with the ceramic bezel, this particular one, if we're arguing...
Hold on, stop for a second. Hold on a second. So your argument here, just so we don't get carried away, so your argument on this whole thing is the fact that this watch is a little more robust in terms of being able to change out parts and putting it on the bracelet. Well, let me mention this, boys and girls. What's the one on the bracelet go for? Let's say this is new or new used? This is new?
So whatever, it's a $20,000 difference.
Okay, it's a $20,000 difference on that bracelet. Should you go, if you're gonna do that, you probably have to go the bracelet route. But let me tell you something, $20,000 difference in the bracelet. If you have it on the bracelet, you're paying $600 for the strap, and you have to buy these gold end pieces right here, which are part of this watch, and you have to buy the buckle. So you're spending another $3,000 just on that alone.
All right, but if you're already spending over $50,000 on a watch, what's another?
So I'll give you the fact that this can be worn on a bracelet on a strap. They do not have this watch on a bracelet yet, but if I would imagine sooner or later you're going to start seeing these guys on the bracelet.
That's going to be a legitimate dumbbell then at that point at 44.
Well, these things aren't light to begin with.
It's just a lot thicker in the lugs. And one more thing I wanted to point out, your argument that the bezel, the same color bezel and dial gets lost, well, I would actually make that point here. This rose offshore, so they used to make it what we used to call the panda dial with the gold subs, or white subs, white subs I believe they were. Then this new dial with the black subs, I think is extremely busy, and I just can't even read the time. So I like the fact that this is all
I'm going to disagree there, and I'll tell you why I'm going to disagree. First and foremost, let's face it, boys and girls. Who uses their chronographs on their watches today?
Forget the chronograph. I'm talking about just looking at the time.
But hold on. If I'm looking at this watch and I'm looking at the time, it's actually very clear to me because look at the white markers on this watch.
All right, but to you.
But they're visible against the black. White markers are great.
Well, to me, I get lost. It's a little bit visible.
Did you forget your glasses again?
I did, but my glasses were far vision, not close. So don't go there.
Okay, so let me throw an argument at you. One of the things I've always talked about, and I've talked to some numerous episodes of what's on my desk and things of that nature when it comes to AP specifically, whether it's Royal Oaks, whether it's Offshores. What I always admired about AP, and my number one look for AP today, is the combination of rose and black. Why I hate that blending in as just a big hunk of gold.
I like that personally.
What came out first, the brick or that?
What do you mean they came out together? Well, originally the brick.
So they came out with the brick.
Yes.
When you're talking about that watch on a bracelet, I'll probably take the argument that it's a good-looking watch where everything blends in. It's the brick. You have a big hunk of rose gold.
Correct.
When it comes to watches on strap, that appeal got lost with this. And again, all I'm seeing is the blend of rose gold all over the place and nothing else. When you're looking at this particular watch, you're looking at a combination of rose gold and black, and it's done in a big way. The fact that these are the smaller ceramic pushers doesn't do anything for me. You look on the side of this watch, you have the wide ceramic pushers. The crown is much bigger. And the combination of ceramic, specifically black ceramic against rose gold, to me is super killer. So I'm glad they went with the black dial on this watch. And honestly, I will sacrifice the extra 2 millimeters, however many grams extra, to wear that versus that all day.
Fair argument. I'll still take the 42 all day because I gotta actually wear it. At the end of the day, it's all about what you can wear and what you cannot wear. So I will make a point though that overall the 44 offshores that they produce versus the 42s, I think they look better overall. If you line up the whole catalog side by side, I think the 44s overall look better, which pisses me off because I can't wear them.
Let's talk price. Yeah. What do these go for?
So the price on this is this one that we have here is no box or papers.
Let's compare. This is new. That's pre-owned. Let's talk about brand new.
At the top, brand new. Probably find it on the market in the mid to higher 30s, whereas this one is at this point over 40. Brand new. It's well over 40,000 today.
Okay, so popularity from the public is what speaks the most. So I'm going to give you a nail in the coffin here.
Well, let me ask you
how many of these in the last year have you sold? And I'm not talking about Rose or whatever. How many of the 45 millimeters you sold versus the 42?
I would actually argue it's pretty equal. I don't think that I sold more 44s than 42s. As a matter of fact, it seems like the trend is going backwards. I think people are going for small. That's why you've seen the trend in the past couple of years. I remember when I started years ago, offshores were the thing. They still are the thing, but Royal Oaks and Royal Oak Chronos were here, and offshores, the limited edition ones, all that stuff, were here.
I'm not going to take that argument. I'm not taking that argument for one simple reason. Royal Oaks are piggybacking off the fact that a lot of the vintage stuff has become super popular. You know, the Nautiluses that we have here, designed by the legendary Gerald Genta, is what propelled Royal Oaks. And people are looking at Royal Oaks now not because of size. They're looking because of collectability, because of 15202s. Because of the 15300s, 15400s, now the 15500s, the plain Jane Royal Oaks. That's what's taken the popularity of the Royal Oaks out there. Not the fact that they're smaller. Just as the same, the original Beast that I have, the first offshore ever made back in 1992. That's just doing the same thing to offshores. And I guarantee you, next year or this year, and Audemars, if you're listening, please do so. If they come out with some sort of a plain Jane offshore, it would fly off the shelf and it would blow any Royal Oak Chrono out of the way.
I would just like to ask AP that if you can please go back to a 42 millimeter carbon piece, because I want that for myself. Because I love carbon, I love black elements.
Well, you guys,
or ceramic, or
well, you guys decide what you think is better. Obviously, old news, as I'm going to dub it, versus new news, because that's old news. I'm sorry, that's old. This is old news.
Next, Roman, we got
next. I'm going to start with this one. I brought the most coveted Patek on the market today. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say the most overrated,
No. I didn't say anything about overrated or overpriced. I said the most coveted. We're talking about the 5711, which is the remake of the 3700 Nautilus that Gerald Genta made when?
Whoop-de-doo. I don't know.
Of course you don't. He doesn't know about history. 1974 is when, 2 years after the Royal Oak, is when Gerald Genta designed this.
About the time you were born.
For the Stern family, because they were boaters, so this is meant to replicate, that porthole of a boat, obviously. So enough of history. So, market price today.
Market price today. Pending condition between, let's say, call it 60 to 70,000.
60 to 70,000. And he brought the 5712. Talk to me about the 5712.
So, I brought the 5712 because I actually think this is the best battle I would say that we've had in our episodes. I mean,
this is only number 3.
Okay, so I think this is.
Of course, we battle off camera a lot.
This is my favorite battle, and simply for this fact and this fact only is both same case size, both Patek Nautiluses, both stainless steel, both blue dials, yet pretty much the same market price. And yet, with the 5712, you are getting so much more watch for the money than you are a 5711, right?
I'm gonna agree with that for one simple reason, because throughout my videos, if you guys have watched them, I've always said, look, there's so much value for the money there. And I've often looked at the 5711 as a prime example, saying, look, you got guys out there paying 70 grand for a 5711 plain Jane watch.
$28,000 retail, and they still produce it. So that makes 0 sense to me.
Well, wait. I've always said it, and I'm gonna agree with that because I've always said, look, there's these tourbillons out there, and these other complicated watches from other brands, perpetual calendars and things of that nature that you can pick up for less money than that particular watch. And I've always said that, you know, the market is completely ridiculous. But the problem with me is that if we want to talk about iconic pieces, this is the watch. Well, not this, the Patek 3700, the original one. I'm sure Ian can pop one up on the screen. But this is the watch that gave birth to all of these. So as far as I'm concerned, these are all little children of this guy. This is the watch that Gerald Genta designed. This is the remake. It's like the 15202 AP, right? Which is the remake of the original 5402. So if you're someone that's out there going for history, going for something super iconic, I think this is the watch for you. And number two argument I'm going to say right along with that, this is probably the most notable plain Jane watch out there. Yeah, I can't think of another plain Jane watch out there that A, fetches this kind of money in the modern world, and B, that's most recognizable.
Yeah, I will agree.
And then if I put the two side by side, I will agree with the fact that you are getting more bang for your dollar. Yes, you have your calendar, you have your moon phase, you have your power reserve. This watch is indeed more complicated, but at the same token, I got to be honest with you. If I were to go with a Nautilus other than the 5711, I would not go for the 5712. I'd be looking at a 5980. I'd be looking at a 5990. Much cleaner looks. I think this is probably, I think they overdid it with this watch. They either should have made it 2 millimeters bigger to allow a little more real estate on the dial for all the complication that's on there. To me, this is probably the worst looking one in terms of taking up real estate on a dial.
So I'm going to go, and I'm going to argue my point here with the 5712. So Roman did mention the fact that for the same money, you're getting way more complications. It has more, I would say, character than the 5711 in terms that to me, it looks better. There's more going on with the watch. Some people will find that busy. In my opinion, I just think it's better looking than the 5711. Prior to the 5712, my father had a 3712.
Yes.
As I was a kid. So ever since he used to wear that watch, and I obviously look up to my father a lot, that was always in my mind. So when they came out with the bigger 5712, I just loved that watch from the beginning.
Look, your childhood dreams have nothing to do with watch wars, okay? So if you're trying to make if you're trying to make the crowd feel empathetic, that's not.
I don't need their sympathy.
Sympathetic. Did I say empathetic? I said sympathetic.
You did.
Look, this watch was designed to mimic a porthole. This watch looks like a porthole. This is Nautilus. When you think of Nautilus, if you ask 9 out of 10 people and you say the word Patek Philippe Nautilus, this is the first watch they're going to think of, not that. I think every other Nautilus in the lineup beats out the 5712.
Correct, and 9 out of 10 people are not going to know what the hell a porthole is, or that Nautilus has anything to do with porthole. So.
You'd be surprised. Because people
would not be.
You'd be surprised. Let me ask you a question. You have a relationship with an AD, and you will get pretty much any watch you want from him, right?
Yeah.
If you get on the list on the 5711 and the 5712, which one will you get first?
I'll get the 5711. It's just because.
No. Which one will come in first?
5712 will come in first.
Okay, thank you. And then same question.
That's actually also not true.
And you just nailed. And you just gave yourself.
That's not true. It depends.
You just gave yourself a nail in the coffin.
No.
You coming into an AD, you have a choice. Which do you take?
I would say if you average out all the ADs, then your argument is correct. However, if you work with a certain AD out there and they've already had X amount of allocation for a 5711 or a 5712.
As a salesperson extraordinaire.
Yes.
I'm an AD and I just offered you 2 pieces. Which do you take?
I take because I wouldn't resell it.
No. I just gave you. You are reselling it. I just gave you a 5711.
Yeah, I'll take the 5711.
Why? Because
there's just more margin in it.
Exactly. Yeah. This is no secret. Look, there's a lot of guys out there. They get on lists. They receive these particular watches, and I get questions from a lot of you guys and other clients saying, "Look, I don't really particularly care about the 5711 or the 5712 Nautilus in general. I do have a relationship that I can take advantage of, maybe to make up for some of the losses that I've had." So, 10 out of 10 people will choose to get the 5711 because if they go to resell it, they'll make a lot more money than the 5712, and that's just the truth.
I will say that I do like the piano dial or the white dial 5711 better than the blue.
Look what happened. Look what happened when it discontinued. Where are they at now?
I don't even know if that's actually a true thing. They've been saying that, but I'm pretty sure it's on the Patek website.
I agree.
I've seen a lot of new 20.
Nobody really knows what's discontinued, what's not discontinued. Patek doesn't really normally, show that. The only way we kind of tend to know that that's this fact is when we look at the newer price list, and if it's no longer on there, that's the indication of it's discontinued. But even on a rumor of the 5711 white discontinued, 5711 white was always much cheaper than the blue. Everybody wanted the blue because the original Nautilus was blue. So that was historically trading at least 10 grand under the blue, regardless of the market.
And now, say 10%.
Where are they at now?
They're pretty much equal. They're pretty much the same.
Exactly. And it's just the fact that there's a rumor that this thing got discontinued.
Yeah.
It shot through the roof. So I'm going to go with popularity. I'm going to go with history. I'm going to go with markup in reference to retail. So I just don't think the 5712 comes close.
I guess this is kind of an opposite approach that I used to take, is that I'm now taking more bang for your. Usually you're the one that takes more bang for the buck in terms
but
of
I'm also big into history, so that's why this watch to me is absolutely that watch.
I'm going to take the 5712 because A, I just think it's a better looking watch. B, I think you're getting more value for your money in terms of all the complications, and I just think the 5711 is too plain Jane.
By the way, when you were a kid looking up to your dad's 3712, that watch, the 3712 was, I think your dad paid, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around $26,000 for it today.
Listen, I remember, I can go back in my emails and remember when I sold that 5711 for $24,000. I thought, wow.
Guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, need your votes, right? And I'm kind of slacking right now in the win column, so Adrian is sort of in the lead, so I'm hoping you
now you want their sympathy?
Vote me. Vote me.
Also, guys, if there's anything that you would want us to talk about in Watch Wars or any type of feedback is always welcome. We're trying to make this bigger and better than, from episode to episode, so that would be.
And then again, we always ask you to comment your votes below, but if you have specific questions, I'm going to have Ian throw up Adrian's emails up there. You guys already know my email. We'll throw that up there as well. Again, sometimes you guys say, well, compare a Sky Moon Tourbillon to the Vacheron Grand Comp. I'm like, well, I don't exactly have those handy. But again, just because we may not necessarily have something physically in stock doesn't mean that we can't argue on it, because I'll tell you one thing. Adrian's been with me since he was 17 years old, and we've been arguing ever since. So this is pretty natural to us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in once again. As always, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Last but not least, don't forget to share this with all your friends that you think may like this content. This is what helps my channel grow organically. Other than that, we'll see you on the next edition of
Watch Wars.